How much room? How much room do you have for being human? How much space can we hold in our hearts and in our minds for coming up a little short, for making mistakes, for not quite hitting the mark, for maybe not being as kind as we might want to in a given moment, for not fully embodying and expressing whatever that image we have is in our minds and hearts for what that divine idea of us is. I know in my life there have been challenges that, I don't know, I might be the only one. I suspect. I'm probably not. How many of us are our own worst critic, harshest critic? I am my own harshest critic. I know I am. And it can be challenging, right? It can be hard. Ever since I was very young, I've been hearing about how there's this divine idea of me just waiting to get out and play, right? How there's a better version of me that is yet to be born. How there is this greater idea of me where I am. And I, quite honestly, it's been a long time since I even bothered to stop and like write down like what does that look like. Yeah, there's just this vague notion of being constantly peaceful and constantly joyful and constantly happy and all the things, right? I walk in my house and it's perfectly clean all the time. The dishes are always done and the kitchen counter is always sparkly white and tidy. And my car always runs perfectly. And I go on any vacation anytime I want to anywhere in the world, and I write a beautiful book, every 6 to 9 months, and it goes out as it's a bestseller. And I speak on stages, and I get paid $20,000 a pop, and all the stuff, right? We have this image, that was just me just rambling on, the thoughts that have popped in my head. So, what happens when I come up short? What happens like this morning? I'm just going to give like broad brush stroke. I'm sitting out. I'm sitting out in the backyard. I'm literally writing the last 20 words of my talk on my page, and I hear door slam, thump 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 down the stairs. Open the window or open the sliding glass door. Hey, hey, honey, da 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 da. And I'm like, what? And can we not da 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 da? And we find out later, neither one of us had all the story, had all the story, and but it was this thing, and so there was this space, and or this atmosphere going on for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes ish, something, before we sat down and worked it out, and learned that we could have both have been more compassionate with each other, which is the topic. We both could have been more compassionate with each other as we move through that. And guess what? We're human. We make mistakes. Sometimes we don't sometimes we don't stop and take that breath. to say, okay, what's really going on here? What's really happening here? The Oxford Dictionary, which is my new favorite dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary defines compassion as sympathy and concern for others. Sympathy and concern for others. And I would say, and I would add to that, for ourselves. Okay. We set these standards for ourselves. I have set those standards for myself. And I am more than welcome and am more than capable of holding them and saying, you know what, it all doesn't have to happen now. I can have a vision. I can set an intention that says, this is the direction I am headed. These are the things that I see myself doing. These are the things I see myself becoming. And they don't have to happen today, right now in this moment. I can hold a vision for them and take steps towards them and have the space in me that says, you know what, I'm learning and growing. I love myself the way I am. And still there's growing to be done. I can love each and every one of you unconditionally just as you are. And in the same breath, know that, hey, there's still growing to be done. We're human. We find that space where the human and the divine are integrated within us. They both exist concurrently as us in a state of constant evolution, expansion. They do this, the human and the divine do this dance together where we're constantly improving. It's like getting on the elliptical machine and hitting the rolling hills button, right? Where it goes up, a little harder, a little easier, a little harder, a little easier, a little harder, a little easier, right? We get those times of effort and then goes times of relax, the times of effort and the time we kind of back it off. That's the growth cycle. That's how we get better. And so having compassion, holding and using compassion as a tool in our spiritual growth, as part of our process, says, hey, I get to be both. I have to hold both. And they're not exclusive, they are inclusive of each other. The divinity is the foundation from which our humanity is expressed. Right? Our divinity is the source of our humanity. They're not separate from each other. They work together. The Dalai Lama says this: love and compassion are not, hold on. There we go. Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. How? I mean, if I'm constantly nitpicking and saying, "Rah, rah, 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 well, what about this? And how about this? And how did I come up short? And I made this mistake and I made that mistake. And am I focused all on that without saying, hey, this happened? And so instead of leaving the towel in the dish drainer, how about shaking it out and saying, is it dirty? Does it need to go in the laundry, or does it need to just hang back where it goes on the front of the stove? Right? I made a mistake. How about I just fix it? Instead of me beating up on me and saying, oh, I came up short again. Or I didn't pull the shower curtain across. I left it over here and now it's going to get all moldy, and no, I need to go over there. The little things start piling up if we don't express them. The little things keep piling up if I don't address them. And that's how the big things, that's how they become big things, right? I ignore it. I disregard it. I don't give something the love and attention that it needs, some inner issue that I have, I don't give that the love and attention it needs, eventually it gets a little bit louder. And it gets louder and it gets louder until it gets to a point where it kind of blows up in my face, and now I have to look at it. We are called to see ourselves as this divine presence. We are told in the Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes the following: a practitioner, and in this sense he's saying a practitioner of our philosophy, not a practitioner. A practitioner must be filled with a spirit of divine compassion. The only guarantee of our divinity is in its expression through our humanity. I love that. The only guarantee of our divinity is in its expression through our humanity. Can I make room for it? Can I make way for it? And I believe that the way we do this is by embracing our humanity to such a degree that we hold it as our divinity, as one and the same, not separate. Because when we start holding things as separate from, then we start breaking everything starts breaking apart. And what we teach in the path of compassion, the path of compassion is the path of inclusion. Like I said, the path of compassion is about the integration of the human and divine, not holding them as being separate. Having care and concern for ourselves, having care and concern for others, not concern such that we're worried about something, but concern in the sense that we are holding the others in our world in high regard. That kind of concern. Everybody matters. Everything matters. When I look in the mirror, can I look at that person with tenderness and care? Can I look upon that person that I see in the mirror with care and kindness and love? And I pour into myself to such a degree and allow myself to be poured into by others to such a degree that when I am in that place of giving, I am giving from the overflow. Right? We talk about this a lot. Let me pour into myself, let me be poured into by others, and let me pour into each other and continue that cycle, right? So that it's a never ending flow. So that I don't have to worry about there being a limited amount, because there's really not. We are living, being, and expressing in a universe that is limitless. So that compassion, that care, that love that I'm looking to experience and to express is sourced from a place that is infinite and limitless. Tenderness. This is an Ernest Holmes, actually also an Ernest Holmes definition. Tenderness, the sympathetic union with people, real compassion. Real compassion. So we come to this place of care and concern. We come to this place where we are called to love and care for one another. That's why I chose the song I did this morning. Because that song, the story, a little bit of the backstory about that song was that it was born as an outcome from the COVID shutdown, where all of a sudden mental health became this huge issue for people. And the writers of the song all, have that going on. We all have, I mean, to one degree or another, I think. And so it's very much about mental health and being willing to have space for all of us in our quote unquote brokenness. It's not really, in our incredible variety, to hold space for others as they are, to be loving and caring and accepting of people as they are, to not see people necessarily as broken, but as maybe just cracked open a bit so the light can get out and the light can get in. It's a little bit of all of it. See, with having compassion for myself, having compassion for others, puts me in a place where I'm vulnerable, puts me in a place where I'm open, puts me in a place where I have to stay open to be connected, right? That's what we want. What people want is to be aware and conscious of the connections. We know the connection's always there. It's just a matter of whether we're conscious of it. Am I aware of it? When I'm in presence with others, am I really present? Can I let that armoring drop just a little bit more? Can I allow myself to be a little bit closer, to be conscious, to be present, to set aside any preconceived notion I may have, and just be here now? Ram Dass writes this about compassion. He says, as we grow in our consciousness, there will be more compassion and more love. And then the barriers between people, between religions, between nations will begin to fall. Yes, we have to beat down separateness. How able am I to practice that kind of compassion? Where I look out upon a world that I live in and not see separations. Where I'm looking for reasons to connect rather than reasons to depart. Where I'm looking for those places where can we agree rather than where we disagree. And is it okay if we don't? And is it okay if we disagree? Sometimes, yeah. Is that okay? Because compassion keeps us conscious of our connections. Compassion allows me to look at things and maybe not place my meaning on something, but be willing to listen and really hear what the meaning is for the other person that I'm in relationship with, and have space for that. To really be present and listen. To hear without being threatened. to listen with a heart open, to listen with love, to listen with care. All of that to say compassion matters. Compassion is a key component, a very key component of what we have to work with, because it allows us to stay present, allows us to see wholeness, allows us to see variety rather than diversity. Allows us to see a tapestry of differentiation rather than just differences. To see how everything weaves together, how it all fits, and where I fit within that. See, because in my own little world, this is it. And in your own little world, this is it. And we intersect. And we do this dance with each other. We come together, we go away, we come together, we go away. But we're always connected. We're always having an impact on each other, whether we're aware of it or not. We're here learning and growing and lifting each other up and making it easier for the people that come in behind us. Somehow, I know that we are looking for a way to get closer and to really dance and celebrate with each other and see how wonderful we are, individually and collectively. How wonderful, how full of wonder can I be? Right? We play with words. We like to play with words. How full of wonder can I walk in the world? Look out here and say, well, I mean, how does somebody think about making cinder block? As I look out, as I look down the hallway, I look out the door, I see the wall over there across the walkway. I said, who thought of that? And what made them think of that? Or concrete. I never bothered to really stop and think about who came up with that. And what was the genesis of that? Does it really matter? Yeah, to the extent that I walk on it every day. Thank you, that person who created concrete. And what does all this have to do with compassion? Compassion says, I care. Compassion says, you know what? You matter. I matter. We matter. We make a difference. And whether you're feeling 100% or 60% or 20%, I can hold space for that. I can stay open and stay present. And if you want me to just listen, I will just listen. If you want me to celebrate with you, I will celebrate with you. But I will show up with you in connection. I will show up with you I will meet you where you are. And we can rise up, we can stay present, whatever it is. But I will be present with you. Because I know that's what I would want. So I'll close with this quote from Lao Tzu from the Tao Te Ching. He says, I have just three things to teach: simplicity, patience, and compassion. These three are your greatest treasures. Simplicity, patience, and compassion. I like that. And so as we close, here's the assignment for this week. The practice for this week is very, very simple. This week, let us choose to walk in the balance of loving ourselves just as we are, while knowing there is still more for us to become. Take a moment as you pass the mirrors in the world or any reflective surface. Pause and say to yourself, or even out loud if you like, I love you just as you are. In addition, extend the practice to others in your world. Pause from time to time in the presence of others and silently say, I love you just as you are. Out loud or just quietly, as is appropriate. You never know. You never know. Maybe just that thing that person needs to hear. But I love myself just as I am, and I love others just as they are. I think that is very much at the heart of compassion as we know it today. So let's pray. Oh, no, wait a minute. I forgot to do Q&A. Oh, quickly, Q&A. Any questions before we pray? Questions today? Comment, question or comment, either one.
I think the Oxford Dictionary needs to include it saying, and ourselves.
Yes, I'll write them a note. I'll drop them a note. They may appreciate that. They may not.
The difference between separateness and individuality.
Yes.
You don't want to stamp out individuality.
No, just separateness. Yeah. Is that it? Okay. All right. We're going to pray then. We'll make it short today. That's okay. We can do that. How wonderful. How wonderful it is that we get to come together here this morning. We get to join together in the awareness and recognition of the power and presence that is this infinite spirit, divine life, universal mind, love, peace. It is in this and it in us that we express this life. We join together in a consciousness of unity. And as we go forth into this day, we are awake, aware, and alive to this loving presence expressed as each and every one of us. We go forth into this day and the rest of this week, living love, living compassion, expressing joy, and experiencing a sense of wholeness and wonder that says life is good and very, very good, as each and every one of us. We set aside any sense of separation and embrace love. And so compassionately we go into this day and this week, trusting and knowing that all is well and that life is good and very, very good. And so we let it be. And so it is.